Oh, it allows you to unmute. Thought maybe you would have to
Record on the cloud.
record on the cloud,
And,
They actually
so
cut that down.
oh, and I need to unmute there.
Wait,
Not
wait, right, and go.
One thing I like is
He'll ask you, we ready to go with
once
anything?
it's passed,
Commissioner Thompson.
I don't know where she's at. I think she's
Now, if somebody wanted to talk,
having a moment.
But there's a couple.
Yeah, they would have to, something would pop up that would ask you to allow the, which is the good thing about the webinar, is chances.
Ready?
What they say.
right, yeah, that's brilliant.
You get paid too.
So, have I checked everything?
Yeah, that's my working, we just have to unmute it there. Commissioner, I think we're ready. If
We're
you're
ready to go. All right. Board of Commissioners, as the governing body of Clatsop County, all county service districts for which this body so acts, and as the Clatsop County Local Contract Review Board is now meeting in regular session, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and Clerk of the Board, can we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Chair Quayla,
Here.
Vice Chair Bang. Here. Commissioner Toyoka,
Here.
Commissioner Webb. Here. Commissioner Thompson.
I'm here.
And I want to welcome everybody here this evening. We had an opportunity to review the agenda in our work session. Do we have any questions, comments? Are we ready for an approval?
I move to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. First item is a proclamation for National FFA Week, and we have Sam Moss and Mavry Bergerson. So Sam is the president of FFA, and Mavry Bergerson is the vice president. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And go ahead, and you can give the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Astoria FFA president and the Northwest District secretary. I've competed in many FFA events throughout the years, but the main ones I'm sticking to now are ag communications, food science, and public speaking. I will be competing in sectionals on March 5th for my speech on farmers' mental health. FFA has impacted my life in many ways. It's improved my ability to speak in front of a group of people. It's gave me connections within my community and industry. I do many other things outside of FFA, as well as I play 3 sports. I started a bowling club. I guess that's it.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, thanks, Sam. Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Hi, my name is Mavry Bergerson, and I'm the vice president of FFA. I joined FFA 2 years ago, not really knowing what it was, but I kind of just immediately fell in love. It's shown me a lot of new passions that I didn't know I had, and it's brought me to do things like my SAE, which is called Ag in the Classroom, and I go to the elementary school, which is kind of where food comes from. FFA has drastically impacted my life, and it's just brought me to new social skills. I also compete in public speaking, food science, and ag communications. It's brought me to kind of have a sense of belonging and a family inside of school.
That is great. Boy, you're both great at public speaking, and thanks so much for being here. I know that we had a special request.
Well,
Our
yes,
vice chair would like to do the proclamation.
I would, but prior to the proclamation, I just wanted to share, FFA was founded in 1929, and it consists of 116 FFA chapters totaling to 16,587 members statewide in Oregon, and it's near and dear to my heart, and I kind of miss it. So I wanted to move, finding my motion, move to approve the resolution and order proclaiming February 17th through 24th, 2024 to be National FFA Week, and authorize the vice chair to read and then sign the proclamation.
Second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the resolution and order proclaiming February 17th through the 24th, 2024 to be National FFA Week, and authorize the vice chair to read, then sign the proclamation. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The Board of County Commissioners for Clatsop County, Oregon, in the matter of proclaiming February 17th through 24th, 2024 to be National FFA Week. Whereas FFA and agricultural education provide a strong foundation for the youth of America and the future of food, fiber, and natural resource systems. And whereas FFA promotes premier leadership, personal growth, and career success among its members. And whereas agricultural education and FFA ensure a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing needs in science, business, and technology of agriculture. And whereas the FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, gives direction and purpose to these students who take an active role in succeeding in agricultural education. And whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, leadership, patriotism, and cooperation. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Clatsop County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim February 17th through 24th, 2024 as National FFA Week. In Clatsop County, and invites the community to celebrate FFA members, students, and their families, faculty and staff, participating businesses, alumni, and supporters of their local Astoria FFA chapter, dated this 14th day, February 2024.
Very well done, Vice Chair Bangs, and thank you so much, Sam and Mavry, for being here this evening. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats to all you're doing.
Good luck passing the goat this week.
Thank you. Good job.
It's clearly working.
Yes, absolutely.
It is really working. I love it.
Next is Black History Month proclamation on page 44, and our County Manager, Don Boone.
Thank you, Chair Puelo, members of the board. Black History Month is a commemoration of African American history and achievement. Over centuries, Black residents have contributed greatly to the rich history and fabric of our nation and to the Clatsop County community, including in local civic associations, the arts, business, government, education, and the military. During the month of February, we honor and celebrate this rich history and invite community members, businesses, and local agencies to join us in observance and celebration.
Thank you, County Manager. And we have a suggested motion here.
I move to approve resolution and order proclaiming February 2024, words are hard tonight, to be Black History Month, and authorize the chair to read and then sign the proclamation.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resolution and order proclaiming February 2024 to be Black History Month and authorize the chair to read then sign the proclamation. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. In the matter of proclaiming the period from February 1st through February 29th, 2024 to be Black History Month. Whereas the terms Black or African American refer to individuals with African ancestry who were born in or immigrated to the United States, and whereas Black people began arriving in what is today Clatsop County as part of the earliest arrivals of non-Indigenous peoples, including York of the Lewis and Clark Expedition in 1805, and members of the John Jacob Astor's Party in 1811. Whereas Black people have been continuous members of Clatsop County's business, military, and cultural communities for over 175 years. And whereas Black History Month is a national celebration of the contributions and cultural heritage of people of African descent in every part of the United States. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that Clatsop County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim February 1st, 2024 through February 29th, 2024 as Black History Month in Clatsop County, and we invite all community members, businesses, and local agencies to join in the month of observance and celebration, honoring the history and contributions of people of African descent, dated this 14th day of February, 2024. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is business from the public. This is an opportunity for anyone to give a 2-minute presentation about any item on the agenda, except for public hearings, or any topic of county concern that is not on the agenda. Clerk of the Board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
I do not think so.
Okay. And do we have anyone that has signed up to speak in person this evening?
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the business from the public and move on to the consent calendar. We've had an opportunity to review the consent calendar. Any questions, comments? Any discussion on any items? Ready for a motion?
I'm ready for an explanation.
Okay.
I'm always saddened when there are things in the consent calendar. About it a little bit more. I don't know if anybody has noticed on the news that there is a big fight going on between Multnomah County and the city of Portland and their ambulance contractors about the relative skills that must be in an ambulance when it answers calls. We are struggling with that in our own committee here, except we're not fighting about it. Instead, we're trying to clarify our contracts with medics to make sure that we do have the various, and it turns out that I always just call the folks who do the medicine in the ambulances, I've always called them EMTs. It turns out there are like 6 actual levels of skills of people doing that. And so there is we've been working a little bit with the rules with medics about dealing with that, and we're doing it, and that's what's part of what is in here. Also, the OHA component, the IGA that we sign with OHA every year, to provide mental health services, which we do through another organization, Clatsop Behavioral Health Care. And so this is connected a bit with what is the first item on our. It's a little bit confusing, and with the help of our policy analyst this afternoon, I finally figured it all out about how it all relates to each other, and it's very, very complicated. I'm sure you know from reading this. Otherwise, I move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll move to Commissioner Liaison Reports and Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to talk about today, because I stay busy with stuff and I don't want to hog the airtime here. This morning, the group of community members who deal with mental health, I would say, gathered together and heard from the CCO. And I'm always left wanting by the fact that the Clatsop County Commissioners don't have a seat on the board of our local CCO, because these are the people who have discretionary income to spend in the millions of dollars. We have neither voice nor vote. We have no oversight in this. We don't participate in any way. And they're really lovely people. They're doing good work, and they operate like an insurance company that does not give us a role. So I would note that. Doing good work, we are not included in the purview. I think that is a violation of the spirit of the County Board of Commissioners as the mental health board in our county. And if we've got a basket that we're putting things into that we want to deal with later that aren't part necessarily of our strategic plan, I'd like to put that in it. The second thing I'm working on is the JTAC, because it's an ODOT thing and they like acronyms. This is the Jurisdictional Transfer Advisory Committee. And what we're looking at is under what circumstances should this advisory committee suggest to the legislature which 3 projects all over Oregon will be forwarded so that a local jurisdiction can take control of it from ODOT. A lot of good people doing good work and always trying to balance the input for rural Oregon with knowledgeable urban partners. So grateful to be there with those people, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, just COLPAC and governance and money and power and all those good things. Thank you.
Keeping plenty busy. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Banks.
It's been a busy couple weeks, starting with our child care task force. We are working to evolve the next round of grants, that we've been taking feedback from care providers regarding their level of needs and their considerations that they would like us to think about moving forward. We've talked about Spark, the Oregon Spark program, which is a certification that Oregon provides, but it also provides funding to care providers. We've been just kind of mining for information, considering information, and excitedly preparing for the next round of grants. We are still, the application process is still open, I think, until the 22nd, and we're looking for a grant manager, but so far, our folks at the ESD are handling being an interim very well, and we've just been happy with the work that is being done, even though, yes, we do need a grant manager because the capacity issues that are at play in regards to using the current director in that position. She obviously is stretched, and so, but we appreciate her willingness to do it because we're all in the business of solving a problem and within that child care realm, and we're all very passionate about it and excited for hopefully future changes and hopefully getting infant toddler out of the child care desert. I desperately want our state and federal folks to get involved because we as a county can't solve it completely on our own for a long-term solve. So anyhow, there's that, but it's rewarding work. I like it. Secondly, I had the opportunity to visit with Colpac last week, and was last week, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry. Only Thursday. Time flies when you're having fun. And it was a lovely conversation, and it was kind of, I'd never participated in Colpac before, so it was very nice to see some of the work that you do in some of your liaison positions. But it was a good visit, and I have to give props to Brandon Persinger for his historical outline that he gave to Colpac. That was an impressive historical outline in regards to forestry in the state of Oregon and where we came from, basically. And that was, he shared information that I had forgotten about. So that was really enjoyable. And just moving on, I need my glasses. Well, today's Valentine's Day. That's basically all I've got.
Could I ask one more thing?
Sure.
Commissioner Banks referenced the presentation that Brandon Persinger made, and it was very interesting information because it talked about forestry practices, and I think some of the, I would call them the advocates for environmentalism, are focused on how things used to be and haven't maybe seen how they've changed. So he traced the evolution of the regulation and the industry practices and the role of the counties and taxing and all of it. So it's really a very interesting read. It, you know, if there's a way that we can get that, Sarah Lou Heath would probably be the one, but I think it would be a good read for people who are interested in taking a deeper dive into all of that information. And Commissioner Banks really did us proud with her work there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Thank you, Commissioner Banks. Commissioner Webb.
Yeah. I've been spending an enormous amount of time dealing with the issue of 3 proposed apartment complexes in Astoria that are having a very difficult time getting past the city council. And we're hoping that when our housing manager returns from her from her recent surgery, and she is working from home right now. But, that we'll be able to maybe, do some brainstorming about how we can, how we can assist with the creation of what now amounts to, a couple of hundred housing units, and are being held up by some geotech and other issues. I'm also working, with the new, president of the college, the community college board, and, have taken him a little bit under my wing, over the work systems, board, which incidentally I have been asked, now to chair in the absence of Aaron Scar. And, I'm also, I'm going to take him to Tillamook Community College and to Lincoln Community College, because they're really, really well, I think they're very, very well-run schools, and have a lot of promise and a lot of learnings. And pursuant to that, I'm going to be attending in May, a program in the District of Columbia that is entirely focused on how do we train all the servants in our economies, the people who take care of elderly people, the people who take care of children, and the people who take care of disabled people, and I think that's a real, it's a real opportunity for our community college to do, and I'm hoping that as we spread our wings with taking care of our child care desert, that's something that maybe we can, and I'll also look for some money to, obviously, to help the college out, and have offered to them our support and suggestions about anything we can do to support them. I think that's it.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Webb. Commissioner Toyoka.
I may not be that quick. No. Thank you all for coming, and, so, I'm the Commissioner Liaison for the Cedar Board, Housing Task Force, and especially at the Cedar meeting, there a lot of questions come up concerning the HCP. The first agenda item on the Cedar Board was the HCP and their discussion of that. A lot of the people there are business leaders. They have, restaurant owners, so hospitality industry, what they call the amenity-based industry in Seaside and Gerhardt and the Coast. And the two overwhelming questions I had are, how did ODF get to these conclusions, and do they realize what it'll do to this community? So, I'm a research guy. I don't like to give off cup answers, so I said, let me get back to you. So I started to do some more research, and I looked at it. I kind of stuck strictly to Oregon.gov, so State of Oregon, ODF, and Oregon State University Extension. Because if you read all this, there's some very polarizing stuff on both sides, so I said, I'm going to limit mine just to what the state comes out with. I'm not going to go with any of these other polarizing for research. So as a background, I looked at the Northwest Forest Plan. It was 1994. And so they mandated an ecologically based forest management framework, limiting old growth logging, and putting in place environmental and habitat protections for endangered fish and wildlife, like the northern spotted owl, marbled mullet, Chinook salmon, and steelhead. So their tenets were never forget human and economic dimensions of the issues, protect long-term health of forests, wildfire waterways, focus on scientifically sound, ecologically credible, and legally responsible strategies and implementation, produce a predictable and sustainable level of timber sales and non-timber resources, and ensure the federal agencies work together. Those are their basic tenets. So now that was the basic intent of the plan. So now I wanted to look at some data and results, so what really happened. That I looked at the Oregon State University Extension Service, State of Oregon commissioned them to do a study. So you look at that, and the OSU study provides that evidence that Northwest Forest Protection Plan did in fact reduce employment in the region, and the negative effect was not offset by a small positive net migration associated with Northwest Forest Protection Plans. So the result, they say, is that many communities throughout Oregon, especially those in rural counties, depend on forests for their livelihood. However, since the implementation of the Northwest Forest Plan in '94, timber harvesting in federal forests has decreased significantly, leaving many people without jobs and communities without the amount of monetary support necessary for essential services such as public safety, a decline in forest health, and fire resiliency, and another result of passive management. Increased active management of federal forest land can improve the overall health of a forest ecosystem while leading to stronger, healthier communities that make a positive contribution to the state overall. So that was kind of the overall summary from Oregon State University Extension. So I started looking at the different aspects of it. So wildfires, they said it was, detrimental to increased wildfire resiliency. So I looked at Oregon.gov and I looked up the wildfire numbers. What have we had statistically? So they've increased in frequency since the plan of implementation in '94. Gross losses from wildfires have increased from 4.2 to 5.4% annually since that implementation. So as of September 5th, 2023, the state recorded for the year 1,731 fires, which burned a total of 159,991 acres, which ODF reported that 120,000 of that acres is on passively managed systems. So they stated that passive management is not the way to go. They said there were other management systems that are available that will help in that. Then I looked quickly at the habitat protections for endangered species. ODF stated, and despite this protection of northern spotted owl habitat on federal land, spotted owl population declined at a greater rate than expected because of barred owl competition, the changing condition of the historical habitat. Passive management forests are an ideal habitat for the barred owl, and that competition from barred owl poses a significant and complex threat to the spotted owl. So currently, they state the most important wide-ranging threats to the spotted owl are competition with barred owl and wildfire. Biggest decline in the species because of those two factors, which passive management system is not helping. Then I looked at the economic impacts that they stated. Oregon State University said the 90s and 2000s were a time of reduced economic growth in our region, and that the Northwest Northwest Forest Protection Act had a negative effect on wealth and income in the community. They stated the tenet of the plan stated that the wood industry jobs will be replaced by amenity-based jobs to sustain the economy. And according to Oregon State University, that did not happen. Those jobs were not replaced. So then I looked into their data that said, why? So I used a combination of Oregon.gov and Oregon State University, cross-referenced those two, and looked up in particular Clatsop County. So right now they have us listed as a average employee compensation in Clatsop County, $47,628. So as of January 11th, 2024, they list the annual pay for the amenity-based or hospitality and tourism industry as $49,583. However, they put a big asterisk beside that and said many positions are part-time and seasonal in nature, and so that inflated those numbers. Average wage of forest product sector in Clatsop County, $70,599. Why do I feel that is significant? Because if you look at the Bureau of Economic Analysis for Clatsop County, the cost of living, average cost of living in Clatsop County right now is listed at $47,779. So if we were to take away all those forest jobs at $70,000, replace them with amenity-based jobs, those jobs are below cost of living. So that's not a good replacement for this county, for this community. Cedar reported, and I did look to Cedar, but they said that their calculations said that under the proposed HCP, 311 jobs in the forest product sector would possibly be lost based on board feed analysis. So, the bottom line I came up with is I was looking at, you hear the proponents of the revised ACP, that they're using the best science, have developed a plan in cooperation with government partners, and included citizen engagement. Me, I came away saying if the best science and practice were evaluated and used, why did they not look to their own research? States that maybe we're not on the right path. How can we not learn from our history and we continue to craft policy on the same, maybe false modeling or incorrect modeling or false assumptions? course, community involvement, when they were developing the plan, why were the stakeholders not involved? And only now we have listening sessions, and after the fact, we have citizen involvement. So, just, if they did look at all these factors, maybe a different HCP would be proposed. I'm 100% in favor of a HCP. But I think we should learn from the past, learn from their own data that they have presented to them by the state. ODF has presented in the study they commissioned. Look to that as information to guide and craft the policy, which, and I am not a forestry expert, but everything I read says they did not follow that. I would like an HCP that follows that, utilizes the best science, and crafts a beneficial policy for all.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Toyoka, I'm grateful for your research. I'd ask that you make that part of our official record to tonight's proceedings so that that's available as part of our historical consideration. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Thank you. That's an interesting look back there, Commissioner. So, I'm going to go ahead and skip my comments because I know we have a lot of public hearings here this evening. I did want to ask a question about the SBDC involvement with the childcare. Is that cohort still going as far as the work that Jessica Newhall was doing?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry,
You said Jessica's name and it all came back to me. I was like, another acronym? Sorry, I apologize.
I know that she was doing it for the providers and.
Yes, so there is still training that is occurring. As the cohorts, I guess, matriculate through the training, they are developing a different type of programming to support further education, but also relationship building and fostering a sense of not competition, but community.
Good.
So that's, Jessica's working very hard.
Yeah, well, it's really important
It is
piece of
very
the child care equation, so.
Yes, it is.
Okay, County Manager.
Chair Quayla, members of the board, part of what I'd like to do is, put a little insight on what's happening within the organization every so often. So, I want to, recognize Rebecca Cameron as our HR director and the work she's doing. We're having our first all-day new employee orientation on February 22nd. So, this will be a quarterly program that we bring all the new employees in so they can have an understanding of the organization, understand of how local governments work, and really create culture within the organization, which we talk a lot about, and we all know it's difficult to do. So I just want to thank our entire HR team and all the directors who are involved in kicking that program off. And my last thing is on Monday is President's Day, and so it'll be a closed day for the county. So not for everybody, but for some.
Day off.
Thank you, County Manager. Okay, we'll move on to the business agenda. So our first item is the 2024-2025 OHA-IGA for financing of community mental health, addiction treatment, recovery and prevention, and problem gambling services on page 213. And Amanda.
Chair Quayla, members of the board, good evening. So I'm here tonight to present the Oregon Health Authority Intergovernmental Agreement. Chair Quayla already said the very long title. And like Commissioner Webb mentioned, it's a very long agreement. It can be a little bit complicated. Essentially, the OHA-IGA is the financing for the agreement that's in the consent calendar for the provider agreement with Clatsop Behavioral Health Care. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Commissioner Webb?
I can publicly thank Amanda for that in the county manager's absence. I didn't have my usual scheduled meeting with him this weekend, so Amanda was nice enough to step in and explain this very complicated situation with me. One of the things that Amanda put into her report is the state document from OHA, which lists all the possible funding activities that are available through this agreement. It is 217 pages long, and
Wow.
I'm putting in for travel time for having spent those hours. But I did find it worth going to at least look at the table of contents to understand how many different things that the state will give us money to do, and how many of them CBH is doing. I think it's really an incredible document that talks about all the reporting requirements and the service provisions and this wonderful matrix, which is in our packet, which I had to go to the state document to really understand what it meant. But if you're like me and very interested in what the health department does with this money and what CBH does, you really can identify all of the activities and to look into what constitutes some of the programs, you know, the gambling addictions, all these that's the place that if you want to look up to see what the county is supporting in terms of public health, it's wonderful. It's really true. Like all government documents, of course, it's long and tedious, and thank you for the work that I didn't realize that Amanda had been working on this, and so it's been terrific in the midst of the short session stuff that she's producing. And incidentally, thank you for the addition that we got tonight. So that's my little blessing.
Thank you, Commissioner Webb. Any other comments? All right, are we ready for the motion?
I move the board approve the 2024-25 OHA and Clatsop County Intergovernmental Agreement number 00026-005 for a not to exceed the amount of $4,177,413.78, authorizing the county manager to sign the IGA and all subsequent amendments.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded that the board approve the 2024-2025 OHA and Clatsop County Intergovernmental Agreement number 00026-005 C8613 for a not-to-exceed amount of $4,177,413.78, authorizing the county manager to sign the IGA and all subsequent amendments. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. And thank you, Amanda. Appreciate all you're doing. I know you're very busy, so.
Thank you, and I also want to extend kudos to county council and assistant county manager who were also very integral to looking through the agreements, which were very
Great.
well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll start our first public hearing, and that is on ordinance 24-05, non-conforming uses and structures on page 216. This is the time set for a public hearing on ordinance 24-05. May we have the first reading by title only? County Council.
This is ordinance number 24-05 in the matter of an ordinance adopting amendments to the Clatsop County Land and Water Development and Use Code, Article 3, regarding non-conforming uses and structures.
Thank you, County Council. And may we have the staff report?
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is David Cook, Senior Planner with Clatsop County Community Development. Tonight, I've prepared for your first reading amendments to the county's Land and Water Development and Use Code section governing non-conforming uses and structures. Non-conforming uses and structures are those uses or structures which have been legally permitted or existed prior to permitting requirements, but which do not conform to the current standards of the LAWDUC. The common vernacular is grandfathered, although that's not a term we use. The simplest example of a non-conforming use or structure would be an older home built very close to property lines. If it was built prior to 1980 when we adopted land use regulations, it didn't require setbacks to the property line. So in this example, the home was legally constructed, but it doesn't conform to the setbacks, making it a non-conforming structure. Our code section describing the standards and processes that apply to non-conforming uses and structures hasn't been updated in a good while, and it describes a number of processes which are needlessly burdensome to property owners who seek to alter or expand their non-conforming structure. To make a comparison, a regular conforming dwelling can be expanded through a Type 1 permit procedure, which generally takes 24 hours or less, and has a fee of $85. To expand a non-conforming dwelling under our current code would require a Type 2 permit procedure costing the owner $1,200 with approximately 2 to 3 months.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
All right, David, where did we leave off?
I can roll back to the last paragraph if you
Yeah.
want, just take from the top.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sound good?
To give you a real example, along Westport, along Highway 30, there's a strip of residential zone property that was rezoned to commercial in the mid-2000s. There are homes there, they were there before, they're still there now, and they all became non-conforming as a result of the rezone. So these owners, if they wanted to add a deck or, you know, like a new bathroom or a shed or something, if you were to follow the strict language of our current codes, would require a conditional use permit costing $1,200. The current code language is also strict on the time frame to rebuild a non-conforming structure if it's damaged or destroyed, currently requiring an owner to obtain a building permit within 1 year of the date that the damage took place. The code amendments that we have prepared seek to provide some relief to the strict time restraints for rebuilding and also seek to lessen the permitting burden for alterations and expansions to better serve owners of non-conforming uses and structures. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, do you have any questions? No, thank you very much. Yes, good presentation. We will go ahead now and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-05. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest report? Not seeing any. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
There are none.
Okay. Is there anyone here that has signed up to speak in person?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then we will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Until?
Excuse me. We'll close the public hearing on ordinance 24-05, and the motion is to continue the matter to February 28th, 2024 meeting.
I move to continue the matter to February 28th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is a public hearing on ordinance 24-06, Clatsop Plains Community Plan on page 227. Gail Henriksen, our Community Development Director, is here. This is the time set for a public hearing on ordinance 24-06. County Council, can we have the first reading by title only?
Yes, this is ordinance number 24-06 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the Clatsop Plains Community Plan 2040.
Thank you, County Council. And Community Development Director, can we have a staff report?
Yes, just very briefly, even though the Assistant County Manager did encourage me to go in-depth into each one of these plans, I will keep my reports brief.
Thank you.
Basically, my report is the same for each of the 6 plans that are coming before you this evening, so I will just give the presentation once for efficiency. This was a process that we started, really in 2019, really got into the weeds of it in 2020, 2021. The Citizen Advisory Committee spent 6 very intense months going through it, putting in their best efforts to come up with a plan that reflected their communities. And so each of these plans, you'll see that there are similarities. There are also differences based upon what each Citizen Advisory Committee wanted to highlight. The plans have all gone through review with our Land Use Legal Counsel as well as our County Council. They have been submitted to Department of Land Conservation and Development, and we've not received so far any comments back, but they do have that period after adoption to provide us with any additional feedback. So staff is really just pleased to be here to answer any questions. Obviously, we're recommending approval, and again, just to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Community Development Director. Any questions? Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I know the answer to this, but the question is, these are living documents and they can be amended. Is that accurate?
Anytime after adoption, we can come back the next day and bring some amendments to you. We can
Sounds
also
good.
make amendments between now and second reading as long as they do not substantially change the nature of the plan. And then if they did, we would have to go back, re-advertise for that particular plan and redo the first hearing.
I'm just raising the issue so that we're clear. These are not like cast in stone Ten Commandments. These are in fact living documents.
Yes.
And just because we've gone through and cleaned up everything that we can clean up, we still intend to keep on having them live, breathe, and evolve.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Any other questions?
Can I make a comment?
Commissioner Webb?
This is not my first rodeo with comp plans, and I'd like to say that the community plans I thought were particularly strong. The amount of history and process that they include is they really are very much living documents. And I'd like to congratulate the staff for a really, really nice job.
Thank you.
I think it's very hard. They were hard to do. It was the beginning of COVID. It was, and they're really, really well done. They were really, really well researched. Particularly the history and culture inferences, I think were really terrific. They're very alive.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Webb. Any other questions this time? If not, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-06. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report? Okay. Are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
There are none.
Okay. And are there any members of the public that are signed up to speak in person? I'm assuming not.
Nope.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-06, and then the motion is to continue the matter to February 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I have to share something. Every time we say living document, I can only think about the gremlins and don't feed them after midnight. I'm sorry. I couldn't contain it.
You did, that is a long walk there.
I just dated myself.
Okay, next is ordinance 24-07, LC Jewell Community Plan, page 232. And Gail.
No report. I'm just here to answer any questions you may have about this plan. Thank you.
Okay. And County Council, can we have the first reading by title only?
Yes, this is ordinance number 24-07 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the L.C. Jewell Community Plan 2040.
Yep, thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions? Okay, for me to go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-07. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Not seeing any. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
There are none.
Okay. Are there any members of the public signed up to speak in person?
No.
Nope. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-07. And do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to continue this matter to the February 28, 2024 meeting.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is ordinance 24-08, Lewis and Clark Olney Walewski Community Plan on page 237. County Council, can we have the first reading by title only?
This is ordinance number 24-08 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the Lewis and Clark Olney Walewski Community Plan 2040.
Thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions of staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-08. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Not seeing any. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public that have signed up to speak remotely?
There are none.
And are there any members of the public that have signed up to speak in person?
No.
We'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-08. And do we have a motion?
I move to continue the matter to February 28th, 2024 meeting.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next public hearing is on ordinance 24-09, the Northeast Community Plan on page 243. May we have the first reading by title only, County Council?
This is ordinance number 24-09 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the Northeast Community Plan 2040.
Thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions of staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-09. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
No.
Are there any members of the public signed up to speak in person?
No.
We'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-09. And do we have a motion?
I move to continue the matter to February 28th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is ordinance 24-10, or 10, Seaside Rural Community Plan on page 248. County Council, can we have the first reading by title only?
This is ordinance number 24-10 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the Seaside Rural Community Plan 2040.
Thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions of staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-10. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Okay. Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
No.
Are there any members of the public signed up to speak in person?
No.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-10. And do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is ordinance 24-11, Southwest Coastal Community Plan on page 253. County Council, can we have the first reading by title only?
Yes, this is ordinance number 24-11 in the matter of an ordinance adopting the Southwest Coastal Community Plan 2040.
Thank you, County Council. Do we have any questions of staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on ordinance 24-11. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest to report?
No.
Clerk of the board, are there any members of the public signed up to speak remotely?
No.
Are there any members of the public signed up to speak in person?
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 24-11. And do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move to continue this matter to the February 28, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to continue the matter to the February 28, 2024 meeting. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, Gail.
Hey, Gail, be careful where you file them.
I tend to spill my water bottle.
All right, well, that concludes our public hearings this evening. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? All right, we are going to have an executive session. We'll take a 5-minute break in advance. The Clatsop County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session. The executive session is held pursuant to, and I don't know if I have a ordinance number there. Representative of the,
This is the ORS 192.660.
oops, sorry.
192.660, subparagraph 2.
Oh, here it is, okay. Or 192.660, subset 2, subset E, to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. And ORS 192.660, subset 2, subset B, to consider the dismissal or disciplining of or hear complaints or charges brought about against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent who does not request an open hearing. Representatives of the news media and designated persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. All right, and we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break. Oh, yeah.